Sandy friends. Today I want to tell you about our vermicomposting experience. We've been vermicomposting for around 6 months now, and it's been pretty great. We have around 300 wigglers, hopefully more, as they have a lot of babies pretty quickly. So the best thing that we have found that works with our worms is this coconut core, and this makes 8 quarts. And so what I do is I take this 8-quart brick. It makes 8 quarts when you wet it, and I cut it in half here, and it makes about 4 quarts. So here I wet it. I wet this already. Half of this is bigger, is turned out bigger than this. So this right here is half of this. And then what I'm doing is I am wetting this, and I'm going to fill this up, and I am going to rinse it and try to get some of the salt that's in it out, because we don't want to give our worms any salt. So I'm going to fill this up and rinse this out, and then I will tell you the rest of the procedure. Okay, so here I have rinsed the salt out of the coconut, and this is ready to go. And I'm going to take you to our backyard, and we are going to fill our watering can with rainwater. Okay, here we are at our water catchment system, and we don't have eaves troughs on our house. So this is what we use to catch our rainwater. This barrel is full. We only give our worms rainwater, so we're gonna fill this up about halfway, so that way I can ensure that I have enough rainwater to give the paper and everything that I'm gonna put in the vermicomposting bin. So vermicomposting is just another name for a worm farm. Worm composting, vermicomposting. That's what we're doing here. It's good stuff. Rainwater. Lots of minerals and other good stuff in here for these worms. Alright, let's get it on over there and put it on the paper. So I'm going to have to show you our vermicomposting. Like I said, we have around 300 worms and some babies. So I just figured out that this sifter fits this tray that I have perfectly. So that's how I was draining out this coconut core. But you can use colander if it's got a thin enough grate on it. And last time I just held a cheesecloth over it, and I think I wrung it out in a cheesecloth here. So we made our vermicomposting bin. We're starting off small. When we move to the farm, one of the first things I want to get is a bunny for the vermicomposting. But this is part of our vermicomposting system, and this has larger holes in the bottom than the main part of our vermicomposting. So I think this is a 1/2 inch and the other one is 1/4. Anyway, so I'm going to use this brown paper to put in the bottom. They're still going to be able to get up in these holes. So I'm just making a layer here. They'll be able to crawl through, and they'll come on up to where the food is. So I'm going to wet this down with the rainwater, saturate it really good. We use newspaper a lot too. I just have this brown paper. I know that there's no chemicals in it, so this will be good. I'm saturating this really well, and then I'm going to kind of drain some of it out of the bottom, because you don't want it too wet. You want it at about a spongy consistency. Here I got some that still needs to be wet. So I'm using this rainwater to moisten this entire paper. And then I'm going to put half of this coconut coir in there. So I'm just kind of making layers, making a habitat. And then the next thing I'm going to put in is I have these dried leaves. Worms love dried leaves. I found this to be better. Before I used to put in, like, would start with a dirt layer, but this has worked out the best for me. So we just do this coconut hair, and you can see the hair in it. They break it down all the way. I'll have to show you inside our basement where they've demolished this, and it just looks like dirt. It's great. It's worm castings, and it's wonderful stuff. All right, so we're emptying the rest of this out, about 4 quarts. Kind of rinse myself off here, wet the leaves a little bit. And then over here is where I have my food additives. This is what I'm gonna use to get the worms to come up. We haven't fed them in quite a few days. So we're gonna give them some corn cobs. And so I'm gonna overfeed this bin. And by doing that, I'm gonna try to get them to come up from the bottom bin into the top bin to eat. And then that'll help us separate them. So I'm gonna overfeed this bin and try to get the worms to come up, and you will know what overfeeding your worms are by learning. That's how I did it. I mean, the consistency itself, you just kind of get to know your worms. So we've got some corn cobs going on here. Let me kind of angle this so you can see it a little bit better. Corn cobs. Here I've got some eggshell. And these are from a hard-boiled egg, so I'm not going to worry about any of the raw egg on the inside. But if you're using eggshells from the raw egg, that's fine. But try to get all that the raw egg and the drippiness all out of there. So anyway, this is not salmonella because this is cooked eggshell. So some people say to ground these up. I don't ground them up. I read on a lot of the blogs and stuff there that people ground them up. That's fine too, but our worms eat them fine. Coffee grounds, we add coffee grounds, and then we use unbleached coffee filters, so it's fine that these filters go in there too. But you don't want to have too much coffee grounds because it gets the acidity too high, and you don't want to have too much acid. Like when we first got them, I had coffee grounds, eggshells, and then kale. And it was just way too acidity for the worms. They didn't like it. We had to change the soil really quick, and you just learn as you go with the worms, I think. But yeah, I did a lot of research at first, and that's how I'm pretty much self-taught through reading. So anyway, the worms love the eggshells, and it gives them a lot of calcium. I can see I got some water pooling here from angling it, so I'm gonna try to get some of that out of the bottom. You don't want it too wet, like I said, spongy consistency. We got some banana peels. Worms love fruit. So this is really heavily fed here, and I've never done it this way. Last time we sifted through our worms, and we would use something like this to try to like put the dirt in and sift and separate the worms from the castings. But this way is the original way how we built our bin, and so we're going to try to work it the way it was built and intended for, and that is calling the worms to this top part, getting them out of the castings and separating them that way, which is a lot easier. So we're putting some of their favorites in here. So corn on the cob. Here I have a cucumber that's starting to go bad. They love stuff like that. Cucumbers, tomatoes, fruits, anything sweet and less acidic. So we don't want to put anything like citrus in here. We don't want to put anything like onions or anything like that. Just things that I've found to work the best are these cucumbers. They tear them up. Within a matter of days, the cucumbers will be gone. Usually they pick on them first. Anything sweet, they like blueberries and apples. You put your apple cores in here, and they're just really great to have. And then what I plan to do is get a rabbit, and the rabbit would sit on top of a pen, and then basically the droppings would drop in, and the worms would compost those too. All right, so. And this is, the rest of this will go in our compost. Here, I see this tomato, it's rotting, ready to go. I'm not going to put the moldy part in there. I tried really hard to keep the mold out, but they love tomatoes, so I'm just going to rip some up. Get this in here too. And then it needs to be dark in here, and so I should have brought another piece of paper. What I'm going to do is I am going to get another paper like what I put on the bottom and just put a layer on top and make sure it's wet. So I'll have to get back with you when I grab that paper and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so here we are. I have this is some recycled paper that I got in a package that was shipped here. I know it's not been bleached. So usually if we don't have this, we just use newspaper. So I'm going to make a layer. Even though this is the top here and the top doesn't have holes in it, still, you want to keep them dark. Worms, they scatter when the light comes. Alright. Wet the paper down, try to saturate it evenly here. Show you what it looks like again underneath. Saturate the paper. Alright, spread it out, and this will give them a layer to make them feel safe. They'll come over here, they'll invade this box, get out of the other one, and then it'll be easier when I show you how we're gonna sift them out of there after we try to get most of them to come up here into this box. So join me again when I show you downstairs in our basement where we keep them. Okay, see, I just wanted to show you this picture of worm poop, and these were all planted at the same time, and the one that has 20% worm poop is going to grow the best and the tallest and the hardiest. So it really does work. Okay, welcome to our Michigan basement. So I am going to turn the lights on here, and worms don't like it. This is our model of the vermicomposting bin, and I had got this idea off of Pinterest, and so my husband made this for us. And it does have a spout here on the bottom, as you can see, for overflow of moisture. And even though the spout was added right at the bottom, we don't see any point to have the spout. It's kind of been an unnecessary item. That's around a $15 part, so just to have it on there alone and not having to use it, I don't think it's worth it. You can check the bottom of your bin and make sure that the moisture level is very low, and that's what this bottom is for like an overflow. And so here is the top of our vermicomposting bin. We have air holes on top, and that helps to keep the airflow. There's also air holes here on the side. I know you can't see it, but there's about 2-inch row here of the same size holes. And once we take the lid off, they're gonna scurry. They do not like light. So I'm gonna take this lid off, and I'm gonna put the bin that we just filled on top, and then use this same lid to put back on top so that they can still get the proper airflow. So here we go, and wondering if you can zoom in for us. Show you the worms here. Let's see. They're all hiding. They don't like to be disturbed, but they're there. Let's see, there's one right there. There's a baby. And there's also some eggs in here, which look like tiny little see-through lemons. But they don't like to be disturbed. And then once we get this top on here, they're going to climb right in. Welcome to our Michigan basement, by the way. So you want to keep your worms at a very cool temperature. And you do not want this bin to get like 80 degrees. So because we live in Michigan weather, we make sure we keep it downstairs to help keep the temperature down. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get this top back on here. And hopefully in about a week, week and a half, we'll check it back. And we'll have to show you the next video and see about our worms migrating to our new bin. I want to tell you, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe and stay handy, friends.